Okay, there we go. Welcome everybody, I'm Barb Owen and you are at the Creating Faces studio today. And yeah, where we play and sometimes we do serious things. But for the most part, I like to keep it light and no drama, because you know it is Drama-Free Friday here in my studio, because that's just how it is. Carrie has hand cream, so it's a good day in her studio. That's good. That's good, Carrie. I'd like to find some hand cream that would deal with my perpetually cracking thumb this time of year. But, you know, it's got to be something that doesn't scum up my artwork. So I end up bandaging it. You know, too much information. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to find the magic hand cream. There's got to be one out there somewhere. Hi, Martha. Thanks for checking in. Hi, Sarah. And Kathy. And everybody coming in. This is recorded live on Ustream right now. And so you are welcome to join the ruckus over here live any Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, if you happen to be watching the recording, because I do upload the recordings a couple of places. And so anyway, it's a live chat with an audience, and so that's who I'm chatting with. And I try to remember to always reiterate the questions and answer the questions instead of just answering them. But sometimes it's easy to just skate right over them. Oh, and Artie Dar's having a good hair day. Well, that's good. Drama-Free Friday, when you've got all kinds of good things going on and you got good hair and you find your hand cream, hey, all's right with the world. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if you heard the ding-a-ling, but I had something in my little toaster oven, so let me get that out, and then we'll really get started. Okay, so I wanted to show you a couple of things that I got this week. Actually, they came on Saturday. Don't you know that's always the way? Stuff comes on Saturday, like the day after I stream. Hi, Ella and Pam and anybody I missed. Blanket hellos. Make everybody welcome when they come in, if you would. That would be excellent. I got stuff all over the place here, but oh well. It's Drama-Free Friday, so nobody said it had to be neat and tidy, did they? So I wanted to show you this book. I got this week, like I said, on Saturday. And because I know a lot of people are interested in colored pencil for lots of different reasons. And so there's a link in the chat for anybody watching the recording. I'll put that link in the description box below, either below the video on my blog, or if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the box below the video that says show more. And if you click that, you'll see the link below that. So anyway, I thought you guys might enjoy seeing this book. It's a pretty interesting little book if you don't have it. It's a lot of pages, 143 pages, and it's by Kelly Hoernig, Kelly Hoernig, and she was one of the teachers on Lifebook last year that I really enjoyed, and so her book came out, I think it was in January, February, sometime early this year. And so I'd been waiting for it, and I was going to order something else, and so I thought, oh, I'll just go ahead and get it. And I'm really glad I did. She covers a lot of information. So it's not just one of those books that you look at and you go, oh, that's so pretty, and you know, has fun ideas and stuff. She really gets into the how-tos of a lot of things. Working with colored pencils in circular strokes, and she does different things about line thickness, and you know, we're always concerned about with the waxy colored pencils, because she works with the Prismacolor pencils, And, you know, people are always concerned about the wax bloom and so forth. So she talks about how she approaches and avoids that. And then different things that she does and different papers and things like that. Then she gets back into the principles of design and components of artwork, exploring a low horizon composition, so forth and so on. So balance and texture and all of that. Then over here, as she gets going in the book, then she starts talking about working with different techniques, incorporating color pencil and collage. Hi, Lynn. And so she does some really interesting things. So I just thought I would show this to you. She talks about working on wood. She also talks about working on paper. Her style is very, I guess you would say, I would say uncluttered. So this is one of her pieces, but everything is very meaningful that she uses in her collage. But you can see, I think this is absolutely stunning. A beautiful study in shells done on a dictionary page or text. Yeah, dictionary page. And so she does quite a bit of that incorporated with her collage work. And so I just thought I would show that to you. And here's Dee Dee's Sea Dragon. I thought that was fun. I'd like to do one of those. I think that could be fun. And this is actually the cover of a composition notebook. So she walks through the steps of what she does to prep and get that cover done. I think her color sense is really beautiful. It's a very soft color palette that she uses. But look, is that neat? I just think that is beautiful. Yeah, I may have to try that. So there you go. And then she talks, this was another interesting technique that she had in here. Let's see if I can find it. This one. She used a slice of an image. So part of a butterfly or a moth. I don't know which it is. I don't know. I think it's a moth. Anyway, after she did put the photograph in, then she completed the image using washes and colored pencil and so forth. So I thought that was really cool. So she does a lot of things with bugs and butterflies, and she's, you know, like she steps it all out using colored pencils and so forth. So she does some really interesting things. And over here she's working on feathers. So anyway, again, if you're interested in more information about the book, that's the book that I'm talking about. And then in the back part of it, she's got all different kinds of patterns. So if you like those shells, then you can just use her sketches to, to work on those pieces. So, and one of the things I thought was really interesting at the back, she says, this last little thing says, what you might not know about me. I have a very curious nature. Work best by moonlight. I can relate to that. Create because I have to. Am inspired by the details. Chase the muse everywhere. Excited by nature. Love a challenge. My favorite quote is by Henry Miller. Quote, the moment one gives close attention to anything, even a blade of grass, it becomes a mysterious, awesome, indescribably magnificent world in itself. I thought that was a really cool quote. So again, that's Colored Pencil Collage by Kelly Hoernig. So it's a great book. It really is. It really is. It's one of those books that I would have to agree with Lynn. It is a beautiful book. Hey, Sandy Chick. Hi, Claire. So it is a beautiful book. And then this is another book that I got this at the same time. And this is by Niki Jackson of Niki Jackson Art. And it's available on Amazon also, and it's called Rabbit. This is Niki Jackson's artwork, which I thought was adorable. I love her art. And it's a journal. It's a blank book. And if any of you have a love affair with blank books the way I do. You can't resist them. They have this appeal to me, because it doesn't matter if it's a composition notebook. It doesn't matter if it's one that somebody created, a handmade book, whatever. If it's a blank book, I get caught in its trap every time. So it's a softback book, and here's Niki. It's NIKIJACKSON, art and illustration, NikiJacksonArt.com. And what's nice, you probably can't, I don't know that you're going to be able to pick it up, but on this side there are little faint dotted lines. Yeah, little faint dotted lines. And on the facing page, it's blank. So now the paper is not real heavy by any means. It's probably a 20-pound, I'm guessing about a 20-pound text weight paper, like copy weight paper. But so you wouldn't want to do anything in this. If you want the pages to stay nice and flat, which I don't know that I care about that, but if you wanted the pages to stay nice and flat, then you need to work in pencil. Sketch pencils or colored pencils and that kind of thing. But I like having the lines that you can journal on, or, if you want to draw on the whole thing, you could. But isn't that adorable artwork? I think it's just adorable. And it's signed Niki. I love her rabbit. So anyway, that is Niki's journal. And I don't know how many pages it is, but it's quite a few. I mean, it is quite a few pages, but it's not a real thick journal. So it would be one. I like having things like this too that I can take with me when I'm going to a meeting or something and take notes in. I love having little books like this. And I like it when it has a pretty cover on it because I'll remember, oh, it's in the rabbit journal. So anyway, but I got it on Amazon. So, okay. Like many of you, I've been doing the NanoJumo pan pastel woodwork and that. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Sandy Chick. Pan pastel would work in that as well. Okay, let me just take this off because this little band is getting in my way. So a couple weeks ago, I bought this journal. It's the Square Dilutions journal, and it's about 8 1/4 square, I think. Let's see. The pages are about 8 1/4 square each page. Okay. And so anyway, this is the one with the white paper or the cream colored paper in it. And oh, thanks, Pam. And I really like, I just thought it would be interesting to try the square format because I'm used to working in more of like a 9x12 format. Bye, Vicki. Thanks for coming. Enjoy your afternoon. And so what I decided to use it for was the NanoJumo prompt thing that Dawn Sokol has going on. So you'll have to look at her blog. It's Dawn, DAWNSOKOL, I believe. And it's called NanoJumo. It's National Nonstop Journaling Month. NanoJumo, NanoJoumo, NanoJumo. Hey, Jan. So I admittedly have not been art journaling for a while because I've been busy with other stuff. And so I thought, well, I'd just take advantage of that opportunity and cracking with it, kind of get back into it. So I decided to use this journal. So this was my first page. And I find one of the things that I find so fascinating is seeing how different people interpret the prompt. So the prompt on this one was, hello, my name is. And so this was my interpretation, kind of a grungy kind of thing, incorporating a hand. Thanks, Jerry. Incorporating a hand that came out of a map someplace. And this came from Dawn's blog. I just printed that out and used it. And so, that was my interpretation of hello, my name is. And I just filled in all the different roles or tags that I have in my life. This is a Dina Wakely stencil that's in the background. There's part of it peeking down here and so forth. And then this was the next day. So I chose to do a 2-page spread because I'm going to do some of each because I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so this one fills the screen. I've got my camera down kind of low today because of what I'm going to be doing. So this really fills up the screen. But this one was, I admittedly have a little trouble with prompts that just have an image or a picture because I'm not totally sure what I'm supposed to do with it, And so I just take advantage of that and just decide to do whatever I want. And maybe that's the point. And I think the whole point of the NanoJumo or NaNoWriMo is a different one, WRIMO. That's for writing. I think the whole point of it is just to get you doing stuff. So what she showed on that day was roses. And so I used an image of a rose that my dad had taken many years ago that I had in my computer. There's also a NanoJumo Facebook page. That's true. And I am the boss of my NanoJumo, Janet. That's right. So I printed out some of the rose images and decided to use those. This is some... it was fun. Kathy says she was confused at first too, but found it kind of fun. It is. Hey, CB. I think it's really very creative when you just kind of look at it and go, I don't know what to do with this, and so you just start moving. So these are some of the pieces of fabric from last week that I printed on Ustream using the jelly plate, and behind it I have different stencils. And because I wanted to use this quote, belief gives you the blueprint, you must be the builder. And because I wanted to use that, I used stencils that kind of had a bit of a blueprint kind of feel. I mean, they're not literal. And then I chose a color combination that I found on Design Seeds. And so I was kind of working within that. So it was fun to do that one. Then the next day, I totally messed myself over in a way in that I was looking on her blog on my phone and not paying attention to the year. Not paying attention to the year. And so what happened was I pulled one of the prompts from a year that was like 2009 or something. And the word was inspire. And after I completed the page and went back to, check on whatever the next thing was, I went, well, where is that? Couldn't find it anywhere. I'm like, I've got to be some kind of a dork, But anyway, I still journaled the page, art journaled, and so that was fun. Yeah, so that was fun. So I wrote in the back with Sharpie all over about what inspires me, and then I built the page on top of that. And then these are monoprints that I just randomly cut out the letters. These are some napkin bits and so forth. So I know. Can you believe it? It's like, how dumb can you get? But anyway, I really liked it. So what really was the prompt for that day was, I'm really not. And what was the prompt for the following day was another one of the visual ones, and so it was a bunch of stars. And so what I ended up doing was just combining the two, and so I used I'm really not limited. I reached for the stars and grabbed them. So I combined the two things into one. So that's what I did. So that is that one. Again, I pulled a color combination from Design Seeds and kind of worked with that. This one was a color combination that I pulled off of Google Images or something, because I'm trying to challenge myself in using different colors. Otherwise, I get stuck in the same group of colors. So anyway, so if you get hung up on things like this, you know, where you mess yourself up, then try putting two of them together. This back here in the background, the purple, is a stencil or a mask type thing that I made using hot glue. So I had 3 different ones of those. So that's back there. And then the stars are just scribbly with using one of these fine line bottles. It's a fine line bottle that I have white paint and it's Createx airbrush paint in it. So that's what I used. It was a good save, don't you think? And then the prompt for yesterday was, the word was admit. And she used a picture of a house. And so I did another 2-page spread on this one. And so you can see the 2 pages. Hi, Jillian. Hi, Kia. And so what I did on this was just a bunch of stuff in the background. This is Dilutions paint in the background. And I sprayed through a stencil with Dilutions ink. So I tried some different things that, you know, I hadn't done for a while. So it's Dilutions paint, Dilutions ink. There's white linen Dilutions ink on it also. Then I sprayed over the top of it with Krylon matte finish. And that way it sealed the ink. And so I was able to come back over the top of it and collage. These were little pieces of tissue paper. And so I just pulled them out. You can see here where it didn't completely go away. And so I used that and some stamping and so forth. Anyway, the houses, home is a very important concept to me. And so I wanted to utilize the image of the house. So this is from a Joggle stencil. This is actually the Joggle stencil. This was the second part of that stencil, so I combined the 2 of them. All the pieces and parts in here are papers that I created myself from either jelly printing or using paste paper technique. And you can find the paste paper videos the paste paper video classes are available on my blog, so you can see them, or you can find them on YouTube as well. So that's what I did there. And because I didn't want the journaling, I intended to write quite a bit, and I didn't want it totally visible. I just cut a door. And so there is my journaling. And these, Xandra asked me a couple weeks ago what I did with the jelly plate, deli prints from the jelly plate. And this is what I've used. I backed, because it's really thin, I was able to put it on the back side of the door and also on this page. And so I've glued 2 pages together. This is just where I was cleaning off a stencil. So there's 2 pages glued together in order to create that space where I could have the journaling not completely within in sight. And so that brings me up to today. So I'm ready to work on today's prompt, which I think is scribble, as I recall. So anyway, that's my progress so far. Hi, Gwen. So that's my progress so far on NanoJumo. And eventually I'll do something on the cover. I tend to wait until I'm all done with the book before I do anything on the cover. So thanks, Ella. Hi, Anita K. So that was that. Let's see. And I thought I'd show you a couple of things from the Santa painting adventures continue around here. So I thought I'd show you a couple of those. And then we'll get crack-a-lackin' today. So this Santa, in case anybody happens not to know, my husband and I do a line of wood-carved Santas at this time of year. This kitty is not going to sit up here very well because he's not glued. Okay, good enough. He won't be glued in there crooked eventually. But anyway, this is one of the pieces that we did. And he's finished, other than he needs to be varnished. And all the finish work needs to be done on him. Anyway, but I thought I would show you. Anyway, we got the Santa done. So my husband carves them. They're carved from a wood called basswood, which is a northern wood. Comes from, I think, Minnesota. And it is a soft hardwood. And I'm going to let you see the little kitty up close here. So here's the Santa's feet. And so the kitty will be sitting right here on Santa's feet. So we got the Santa done, and I had the painting completed. And I said, it really needs a cat. He really needs a cat sitting on his feet. And I thought he was going to hit me. Not really. But he was like, he'd already carved me a little teeny bird that's like, it's like this big, this little tiny bird. He carved me a bird. He'd carved me a teddy bear. What else had he carved? A whole bunch of Christmas packages of little tiny various sizes. And I said, he really needs a little cat. And so I thought he was going to shoot me, but he carved a little tiny cat. And the little tiny cat has little tiny whiskers. I'm trying to catch it. There you can see him. So the little bitty kitty has little bitty whiskers. And so he's got, this little kitty is a little yellow kitty, little yellow tabby, and has white feet and a white tip on its tail. And yeah, so that little kitty, I was right. So that little kitty will be a part of the Santa when we get it done. And it has a little red collar and a little green tag. Hopefully you can see that. So anyway, so that Santa is done. Then we did this one. Whoops, sorry, wrong camera. We did this one, and he is a cowboy. It is perfect. So this little kitty this Santa, sorry. This Santa is a cowboy. I'm trying to get him where you can really see him. So he's a cowboy. And again, he is finished. The painting is finished on him. He's not had the varnish coats and stuff. They change again once they get the varnish coats. And he had this horse finished. Last year we did a whole bunch of dollar horses that went with the various Santas. I never know what they're going to get for their accessory type pieces. But anyway, this was like a leftover dollar horse. He's not nearly fat enough for the dollar horse. Anyway, Clausman stuck it in here. And this was before it was painted. It was just raw wood. Denise says, Barb, do you give them as gifts or sell them? No, we sell them. Yeah, we sell them. That's the whole thing. Otherwise, I would not be killing myself this time of year. I'm not killing myself. I'm just teasing. Anyway, he put the horse in here, and I thought, the more I looked at it, he was just teasing about it. But the more I looked at it, the more I thought, that is, with a cowboy Santa, that's exactly what he needs. Now, if I can get this in here, because he had to carve it so it would fit. Okay, hang on a minute. I have messed with these so much. There we go. I've messed with them so much that it's a challenge sometimes. Anyway, so I said, after I was playing around with it that night, I said, you know, it really needs to be a rocking horse. Now, this extra little piece of wood that you see down here, that will come out once he gets glued in. It's just because he tends to be top heavy. Anyway, so, yeah. So he's got a little rocking horse. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just funny that, you know, Cowboy Santa would be having a rocking horse. So he turned out pretty cute. But get a load of those cowboy boots. And I did the side of his pants like he had on blue jeans. So I stitched both sides of his pants. You know, not literally, but, you know. Anyway, so he is using, this one will come with a little rocking horse. So I thought he turned out really, really well. So at this stage, all I'm trying to do is to get all the painting completed. And so I have 5.5 more pieces to finish up. And I worked on one last night, but I didn't get it finished. I gave out before I got it finished. And last week on Friday, or Saturday and Sunday, I guess it was, I did this little piece, and this is recorded totally, so you can see the process. And this little ornament is another carved piece. And so Clausman carved this, and then I painted it, and I showed it step by step by step. It's somewhat boring, but I often have people ask me about the process, and so I showed it, every bit of it, on there's 2 recordings. So you can go to HowToGetCreative.com and you'll see them. That's the latest post on the blog. And so you can see it there, or you can catch them on YouTube. Okay? So those are finished. Just so you kind of get some, you know, some ideas of what we're doing. So we have 16 pieces this year. And so I'm well over half done. So I'm grateful for that. So that's what I do late at night. And sometimes I stream. So if you guys are night owls, you can keep your eyes open for that. Okay. So first of all, before I do that, does anybody have any questions? Hi, Betty Lou. You made it live again. Gonna pin some reins on him. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm going to put reins on him or not. I have to think in terms of the longevity of the piece. And, you know, when you start getting into extra kinds of things, you have to think, is this going to be around in 20 years? You know, so I don't know if I will or not. Yeah. So, yeah, the late night streams, I don't ever record those because I'm so busy painting that I don't pay as much attention to the chat. I also tend to get my mouth going and start talking. It's dangerous to record some of those. I die. It's dangerous to record some of those, so I don't usually record those. In fact, I make it a habit not to. Okay, so what we're going to do today is something different than I usually do. Do you always do different models every year? Yes. The Santas are never the same. Yeah, they're always done differently. Yeah. And they're all, even if he tries to carve a couple that are, you know, similar to each other, they're still one of a kind. And when I paint them, they're one of a kind. So, yeah, they're always, no matter what I try to do to paint them the same, like, you know, I can't. I showed on the first recording from Saturday, I showed our line of resin pieces that we also have, and I have some of those that they come out of the mold and they're very similar to each other, but when I paint them, they're always completely different. So, yeah. I tell amazing stories. Yeah, sometimes that could be debatable. Okay, so story time. Years ago, back in the early 90s, I found this thing. is pattern in a magazine. I have no idea what magazine it was in. I no longer have the pattern. At least I couldn't find it. So I can't give the I can't give credit to the artist that originally designed this thing because I have no idea who or where or what. But anyway, I fell in love with this, and it's an Advent tree. And if you're going to do an Advent tree, you got to do it early, or an Advent anything, calendar. Pardon me, calendar or tree or whatever. You got to do it early so that you have it, available and ready. So I know that you can't see this whole thing. So I'm just going to show it to you so you can see part of it. You can see part of it over here in the... All right, I'm trying to figure out how to... There, down in that corner, with that camera shot, you can see part of it. And you can see the close-up the other way. Okay? So what this is a tree that we cut out, and it's 1/4 inch, or it's a little thicker than 1/4 inch. It looks like it's about 3/8 of an inch. I don't know wood, so, I don't know what it's specifically called, but it looks to be about 3/4 of an inch thick. And cut it out, and Clausman did that part, and it was plywood. You can see it's kind of got some messy stuff on the back, and then he added an extra piece to the base of it to make it thick enough, wide enough, so that he could make this tray, which is heavier than lead, I do tell you, but it needed to be in order so it wouldn't fall over. And so the screw holes in it are so that it can be put together and then taken apart. And then I painted the tree and painted the tray. Okay, so there you can see the painting on the tray. All right, so what is on it are, we put little tiny nails that I don't even remember what kind of nails they are, but these are nails. And then he put nails or screws or something, I guess they're all nails, on the sides also. Okay, so it screws together like this, and then in the tray sit all the little ornaments, and I'll show you the ornaments here in a minute. So when you get it out before the 1st of December, and you put all the little, you put the tree together, and then you put all the little ornaments in the tray, okay? And also, I created garland. And this was back, when the country thing was real in style. And so the garland is made from spools, little tiny wooden spools, and little tiny wooden beads. And you see why it has to be screwed on. And so the garland goes across the tree, and it hooks on the nails that are on the side of the tree branches. Okay? So kind of like that, just so you get the idea. So all of the little ornaments, this was not a kit. This was, everything had to be created and put together. So in order to do, I have the little screws, that go in the tree, live in the box. The box has it contains all the accessories that go on the tree, and a rather pitiful picture of where the ornaments go, so that the person doing the Advent tree can put it together, and every day they put one ornament on, or every day they do something to the tree. Okay? No, this is not for a Santa. This is tradition in our family. This is a tradition. So years ago, when I did these, I did 2 of them. I did one for my son, and I did one for my stepdaughter and her family. The stepdaughter is the mother of my precious, amazing granddaughter and her two brothers. And I'm going to show you the ornaments. So I did the two and gave them, let's see, I can talk to you. And I packaged them up the same way. So they had little boxes with, the tissue and the screws and the, everything. And then a big box that everything fit in, because my stepdaughter was not great at keeping stuff together, right? And so I thought, that way, my son was really too old to enjoy the benefits of the Advent tree by the time I did this. But, I have his for when someday, someday he'll get his quilt that I made for him when he was 3, and he'll get his Advent tree. But, he's not ready for that stuff yet. Anyway, I'll show you the ornaments here just so you can see them. And I am leading up to something with this, so hang with me. So here are the little ornaments. There's 24 of them leading up to, you could do them in whatever order you wanted to do them, but we did it so that Santa was the last one that we put on. But there's Santa, there's a little toy soldier, a dove, a drum, a little choo-choo train, which has wheels on it. This was back when I was using hot glue, so much of this is put together. The accessory things are put together with hot glue, which reminds me why I hate hot glue, because it looks awful. However, it is what it is. A little tiny package, a little bird on a nest. Here's Mrs. Santa Claus. A little church that says Sunday services on it. A little candle. A little teddy bear. A mouse with a jute tail. So he has a little jute tail with a red bow around his tail. A little Scotty dog. A little rocking horse. A Christmas caroler who's holding a little hymn book or, songbook of some kind. A red wagon, a flyer red wagon with wheels. And there is a sleigh that says Merry Christmas on it. A gingerbread boy. A set of bells. The stars that go, there's it's stacked up stars. Those go on the top of the tree. And then there's a little doll. So those are the ornaments. The little red wagon. Yeah, it's cute, isn't it? So those are the ornaments. Okay, right there. So the other day, my granddaughter, well, it's been probably a month ago, actually. My granddaughter came over and she said, do you remember that Advent tree? That tree you did for us? She said, we loved it so much. And I said, yeah. She says, for various reasons, their house had to be disposed of. And so all the stuff that the kids had, they had to go get. If there were things they wanted to keep, they had to go get them. And so she wanted the tree. So she went and got the tree. And guess what? There were no ornaments. And it's pointless. The tree's pointless if it doesn't have any ornaments. So she said, if you have time, could you make me some ornaments? And I'm like, oh, okay, why not? And so we're going to make some ornaments. Now, these ornaments are like about 1/4 of an inch thick. And the way that we did these, we took 2 pieces of this material and glued them together, as I recall. It's been so long ago that I've kind of forgotten, but I think we glued them together in some spots to tack it together. And I drew the ornaments on them. And these were from a magazine article, as I said. And then I cut them out. I cut most of them out. on a scroll saw. And yeah, exactly, if you have time. And so then we, pried the pieces apart, and then I painted them and so forth and so on. So they were pretty much identical to each other. So when she said that, I mean, you have to understand that I had everything put together. The box, the little box, the photograph, everything was packaged together because I knew if I didn't do that, they would lose the pieces. And they still lost the pieces. I'm like, you've got to be joking. But anyway, she has the tree. Okay? So what I have done is I used all the ornaments. We're going to see if this works, okay? I'm not sure whether it will or not, but I'm going to try it and see. So I took all these ornaments that we have here, and I put them on a piece of copy paper, and I traced them. I traced around them. All right? So that's what I have. And this is my master list, and I have dated it. So this is all the sizes of all the ornaments. So hopefully this will never happen again, but if it does, I'm prepared next time. All right, so I made a copy of it. I have then rolled out white polymer clay. I cut out the little shapes, okay, from my extra set. I cut the little shapes out. I have put them on my white polymer clay that I conditioned, and I'm not a polymer clay expert by any means, so we're just going to put that out there right now. I'm not a polymer clay expert at all. So that's why I said we're going to see how this works. So I conditioned the white clay, and what I used was Primo Sculpey. So that's what I'm using. Conditioned it really well, and then I rolled it out on my Activa slab roller or clay roller, and I used the spacers that would give me the 3/16 inch thickness, because that's what I determined was about the size of that wood. So I used the slab roller and I rolled it out to get an even thickness. So that's what I've got here. Then I took it off of my slab roller, put it onto this little tile, and on top of the tile, or on top of the clay, then I took the little patterns and I laid them down, and then I used this thorn that somebody gave me a long time ago. I used this thorn and I traced around to just score the clay. Now you could do this with something else, but why not live dangerously and use a thorn? So that's what I did. All right. So then I took my handy dandy craft knife, and this is what I'm going to do. Now I have baked some of these. Oh, and also I went through each and every one of these because these are balanced pretty well, as I recall, with where the hole placement is. So I transferred the hole onto the pattern and then transferred it through onto the clay, so I know where the hole placement is. So then what I've done, in order to cut them out, there may be an easier way to do this, but this is the way that I'm doing it. And so I'm just kind of up and down motion using my knife, which I have two of these, and one of them is really dull, and that would be the one I'm using for clay. And then I just have my ball of scrap clay over here. And so I just add that, and I can recycle that into the next batch of ornaments. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to do this one. And I have the first batch already baked, and so we're going to see how it goes. And as I said, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I didn't really want to saw them all out of wood again. And I decided that I would see if it would work using polymer clay. And I did them in white because I thought the white was going to be the one that was going to be easy to paint. Yeah, the thorn, somebody gave me the thorn, and when I walk with my dog pretty much every day, there are some trees I've seen around that have some thorns just about like that. But it's amazing how well that helps form things on and shape things with the clay. And it's smooth, and so it's really a nice it's a nice little tool. So it's pretty much, the clay is pretty much stuck down to the tiles. So I just use my clay blade, which I have marked which side is the side to get a hold of. And then before it gets away from me, I have the hole right here, and I don't know that you can see that, but I've marked the hole. And so I'm just going to drill from one side with the thorn, and I'm going to drill from the other side with the thorn. And if you don't think this is a really and truly sharp thorn, I can assure you that it is. But it puts a nice hole right into, and you can go about the same depth because the thorn goes from teeny up to fairly thick. So, you can do that. A black thorn could be, I don't know. So the sides are pretty scruffy. Let me get over here where you can see. Okay. So the side is pretty rough now from cutting it. And so I'm just going to use my finger, and I'm trying not to distort the outline of the ornament because I'm going to try as much as possible to keep the outline as true to the original little ornaments as possible. And if something looks kind of cruddy and doesn't work very well, I can use the thorn to kind of help shape that. So I found that if I went around and just did the edges to start with, that kind of helped. And if I need to refine some of the, the little indentations or whatever, that the thorn works pretty well to help with that. You could use, like I said, you could use a pokey tool. You can use clay, bona fide clay tools. And anybody who is a real clay person is probably having an absolute cow at how I'm doing this, but my granddaughter is not picky about these things. She just wanted to have, because she has the tree, she wanted the ornaments. She values and always has valued the things that we've made for her. And because she values the things, I will do pretty much anything she asks me to do. Because she is, there are a few people in this world that I can say are my heart, and she is one of them, as is my son. My grandsons are too. They're just kind of off on their own path at the moment. That's, the nature of growing up. I'm the boss of my own clay. That's right. I'm the boss of my own stuff. But there are some fabulous polymer clay artists out there. Christy Friesen is one. There's a gal I've watched on YouTube for a while named Lynn's Crafts, and I don't know. I think it's Lynz. I don't know her, but she does some really interesting things with clay. My attention span is too short to go through some of the details that some of the people do, the Millefiori canes and all of that. I don't have the patience for that, but I have patience for this. Okay, so this, it's good enough, as my son is so good at saying, good enough, moving on. So I can put the little caroler on top of there and then realize that I've got the bottom all cattywampus. So then what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'll just kind of true that up a little bit and then re-smooth it. Okay, so that it looks a little bit better. So I'm just showing the process that I went through with these, and then we're going to look at the ones that I've baked and we're going to see how they look, and if they're paintable, I'm going to paint them. And if they're not, we're going to have to figure out something else to do. Okay, so there's the little caroler, and there's the original shape. And it's pretty reasonable. It's pretty reasonable. So I'm going to put that little ornament on a piece of index card, like so, and then I'll bake it. All right. So that's how I got to where I am now. So I'm going to go over, and I actually have 3 more drawn on the clay ready to cut out, but I'm not going to do that right now because I think that's probably would be one of the most boring things on the planet to watch me do that. So I'm going to go get the ones that I baked. Can you get some of that stuff? You can make your own. Yeah, you could, but I don't want to take the chance of ruining the pieces that I have that are done, you know, because I've done that. We've done that with wood carvings before, and you don't want to ever mold the things that are finished because you stand the chance of messing them up. So, okay, let me go get the ones I baked, and we're going to take a look at them. See what they look like. Okay, so these look pretty good. I'm going to put this unbaked one out of the way. That's the thing you got to watch with the unbaked clay. You don't want to set anything on top of it or you'll just mess it up. Oh, you like my hair today? Thanks. Okay, so here are the ones I baked. Need to set this out of the way too. Oh, put them up here. So here are the ones that are baked. And let's take a look at them. They sound pretty good. They feel pretty good. Not bad, not bad. Okay, I think they're doable. Yay, 2 thumbs up. Okay, so let's take one that's easy. Let's go with the gingerbread boy. So here's a gingerbread boy. And I'm just going to use my palette paper. And I have a, look, I have a new container for my paint water, so it doesn't look all scamey like the old one. I still use the old one, but I thought, yeah, I should crack out a new one. So I did. All right, so we're going to paint this little guy. So let me get some paint. Looks like I need brown and white and black. One of the best investments I have made in a long time was my cart. It's all jammed up with stuff. But this cart that I got at Harbor Freight, that's one of the best investments I have made. Because that thing, I can put all of my paints, the bottles of paint, I can put them so that the colored part is up like this. And I have it all arranged in color families, and it's the best thing ever because I can just reach over there. I can look and find what color I need. It's like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Who knows? Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to put a teeny little bit of brown. Now the colors are not going to be the same because I'm working on polymer clay instead of wood. So the colors are going to be different, but we'll see if we can base coat a few of these. So, okay, so we're going to paint this one. It may need a second coat of paint. Like I said, they're not wood, so the paint's going to take it. The surface is going to take the paint differently. So they're not going to look like wood, but they're going to look, I think by the time I get finished with them, I think they're going to look okay. And on top of that, I've figured out a way that I'm going to give it to her because she's going to be gone for Christmas this year. And so I was trying to figure out how I could do this for her so that it would be fun. And I saw somebody on YouTube. Her name was Mimi's Musings. And she was doing a advent calendar type thing for, I think it was her nieces and nephews or something like that. And she was going to package them, their advent things, little gifties and things for them to open. She was doing it in the pocket page type, you know, the baseball sleeves. And I thought that is the perfect way to do these. So I'm going to come up with something like that. Okay, Gwen. Hi, Sarah. Been thinking about you. Okay, now I'm going to paint the stocking white, which of course you're not going to be able to see that it's white, but I need the foundation color. So that I'm coming up over paint instead of just the raw polymer clay. And also, I wasn't terribly careful with making sure that I kept the clay pure white. So there's some, like on this, there's some specks and stuff. It's like, oh well, you know. But I think the cool part about these is that they won't be breakable. And I can guarantee you that when I put them in a little box and give them to her, she will know exactly where they are. And she will take care of them. Because that's how she rolls. That's how this young girl rolls. Okay, so I'm going to paint this one. This is a present. So I'm going to paint it white as well. And I may come back and paint the back sides of them eventually. I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, so there's the present. Okay, I need to get the ones out that I'm working on here, just so you guys can see. Okay, so we have the little sleigh, the little stocking. This is the doll. We have the toy soldier. Let's get these down so you can see them. So there's the stocking. The present. Sorry, let me get my camera straight here. Okay, so we'll do them like this so you can get the idea. Okay, so we have the sleigh, and the sleigh needs to be two different colors. So I need red and gold and white. I think I'm going to just paint it all white to start with, and then we'll put the colors on top of it. But the whole concept of the Advent calendar was one that was really important in my family. And the very first Advent calendar that we ever had was when I was a little girl. And I think it was a neighbor gave one to me. And it was one that had chocolates in it. And oh, that was, I mean, it was this little dinky piece of chocolate, you know, but boy, was that a treat every day to look forward to. And, you know, especially when the grandchildren were little, that was not something that I was willing to do, was to give them chocolate and candy and stuff. That just wasn't, it's like, that's not my place to do that. And so, I didn't do that. I decided to make one that I thought would last. Silly me. Thinking I could do something like that. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to paint the bells gold. I think by the time I get some of these... Yeah, now the ones that came from like Germany and stuff, that was good stuff, right? Okay, so I'm going to paint the bells gold. Here are the bells. So there's the little set of bells. So I'm going to base coat them in gold. I don't know if I painted these with craft paint or oil paint. I kind of imagine I used oil paints on these. But it's been too long ago. Don't remember. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat. If you'll put them in capital letters, that would be helpful. So that way I can see it catches my attention. When this was years ago, when my stepdaughter and her husband split up, there was really nothing that we had created for her that she took with her. So the kids were able to keep most of the things that we did. You know, and that's just, I mean, you can't be upset about it. It's just the way things go sometimes, you know, it's just how people do things. And, you know, it's just, you can't worry about it. I don't do things for people to have to, you know, keep up with. I do things for people because I want to do it, not to worry about, you know, not to try to control the outcome. Okay, so we have a red train, so I'm going to paint it, I'm going to paint part of it gold. I'm going to go ahead and put I did bake them. So I'm going to put, yeah, these are baked. So I'm going to divide this part of it up, and I'm going to paint. Since I've got gold paint out here, I'm going to paint the gold up here the way this one was. And I baked these. I have one of those polymer clay ovens. I baked it at 275. Now I have an oven thermometer in this little polymer clay oven. And my oven bakes hot, and so I have to monitor that temperature. So I think it's about 250 is what I have it on in the oven, and I did them for about 35 minutes. And as I said, I'm not a polymer clay expert, so my understanding is that you can't really overbake it, but you can underbake polymer clay. That's my understanding. I don't know if that's true or not. I need to go take a class with somebody sometime have quite a few books on polymer clay, but that, you know, sometimes you need to go take a class from somebody that knows what they're talking about. Doesn't stop me from playing with it though, does it? Okay. And so now I'm going to put some red on the bottom. And I will be having to shape the wheels later. I didn't cut any wheels out yet. So I'll do that later. Claire says she overbaked hers once and smelled like cake. Yeah, Claire's got a lot more experience with polymer clay than I do, that's for sure. So I think these are going to take a couple of coats of paint, but I think in the end I can probably make them work. It beats having to cut them all out of wood again, I think. We'll find out, won't we? So painting the edges. Not sure that I'll paint the backs. I might. I really don't like things to be unfinished on the back, so I may have to do the back just because I may have to, you know? Okay, good enough. Moving on. All right, so for the little toy soldier, here's the little toy soldier. I'm going to paint, I'm going to divide him up. I'm going to give him a little bit of a gold stripe across here. I'm just kind of giving him some trying to figure out where the hands and stuff are going to go here. Okay, so I kind of know what parts to leave. Okay, so I kind of know what I'm doing on that one. Cover what you make with foil, shiny side facing the clay but not touching it. You will never burn your clay. That is my best advice. Oh, I'm going to write that down. Okay. From Claire. Okay. Cover what you make with foil. Shiny side down. Okay, shiny side down but not touching. And it will never burn. Okay, thank you. From Claire. All right, and so on this one, this little piece right here, let me move stuff over a little bit. This is the little doll. So she's right here. So I'm going to give her her little face. Her braids are covering up her arms. I probably did that because I didn't like the way her arms looked or something. Okay, so she's going to look probably kind of funny, but we'll give her some hair. And then later I'll put some string or some jute or something on. You have to watch the temp range too. The first one I had a lower temp. Yeah. Yeah. That is one thing I've found. And like I said, this is not my forte, but it doesn't stop me from doing stuff. So I'm going to give her, paint in some face color. By the time I get these done, I'll figure out how to do it. You know what I mean? But this is what I'm doing today. So if you guys don't want to watch me do this, if you find this not fun to do, or you can listen to me yammer on in the background while you work on something too. Or you can chat with each other. Or you can ask me questions. All of the above. Okay, so there's that one. So you can kind of see them progressing here as they're kind of by their partners. But I enjoy doing stuff like this, so it didn't, when she first asked me, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got the website and classes to record and Santas to do and so forth and so on. And then it's like, no, what else would what would I rather be doing? It's like, this is what I do. I like to do things like this, so... Okay, so I have the red out. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the red parts on this guy. So Muppet and I have been walking a lot, and Sandy doesn't always get to go with us. Sandy is our older golden retriever. She doesn't always get to go. I heard somebody rustling in the leaves outside. I'm like, what is that? Claus Man must be home or something. I don't know. Anyway, we've seen some really interesting things as we've been walking. And there is a spot where we walk that is relatively new concrete, new sidewalk, fresh concrete. And there are some really beautiful trees in this area. And I will tell you, what stopped me short was the image transfer of the leaves on the sidewalk. Absolutely stunning. And you know, if I hadn't been walking, I never would have seen that. Bye, Di. Nice to see ya. And I think about how, how hard it is sometimes, depending on the results, how hard it is sometimes to get a decent image transfer, and how phenomenally simple Mother Nature made it right there on the concrete. It was pretty cool. I had to stop and take pictures of it. And we also yesterday we ran into the UPS truck, which Muppet has an avid hatred for. And so it was a good chance for us to get it to practice not worrying about UPS trucks, because he followed us right down the street. So she had many chances to practice not reacting to the UPS truck, because she does not like UPS truck. She doesn't like UPS drivers. And it's pretty funny. Okay, so the little tin soldier doesn't look much like a tin soldier, but he's coming along. They're looking pretty good. Yeah, they're not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. Okay, I'm going to give this red one up here, the train, a little bit more, another coat of red. I want to see what that does. See if it smooths it out a little bit. But boy, Muppet can react to the UPS driver. Whew. She growls and whines and carries on. And I'm telling her, making corrections, to reassure her that everything is fine, that UPS drivers are people too. She doesn't believe it for a minute. She thinks they're monsters. She thinks brown is a bad color. Brown is a bad color in her opinion. I personally find the UPS driver to be great. He brings me prizes. That's right. Got to wait till he gets the brass. That's right. Okay, so that looks better with the second coat. So let's give this one another coat. So do you think these are going to be cute? I think it could work. I truthfully didn't know if it was going to work or not. And I thought, well, we'll just find out together. Why not? Let's see what happens. So did any of you guys order the stencils that Paula did with Stencil Girl? I know you guys, probably all of you, went straight to the ordering process. I'm just guessing. Bye, Carrie. Good to see you. Xander got 2 of them. Xander, that doesn't surprise me a bit. Which 2 did you get? And if you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm referring to Journal Artista, who has, this week, they released the word that she was doing stencils with Stencil Girl, which is great. I'm happy for her. Marion not only ordered a stencil, she joined the Stencil Club. Xander ordered the books and plain coffee, please. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to go over and work on this little girl, the little toy girl, the little doll. A weensy bit. Let me do this one while I'm here, because I got the paint out. Okay, so the sleigh goes like this. And it has a white trim on it that goes kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to paint the whole runner on the sleigh in gold, and then I'll go back and put the gold or the black detailing on it later. So did any of you guys watch Project Runway last night? See the finale? That was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys watch Project Runway or not. I didn't start watching it from the beginning, but I really enjoy that show. I love seeing the challenges that those designers are thrown and how they rise to the occasion and all of that. It was pretty fun. Any of those shows like that where there's a winner, you know, even though I don't know these people, I'm always in tears at the end of the show. Why is that? You know, it's like I'm sad for the people that don't win, and I'm so happy for the person that does, you know, and it's just that. I'm a sap, okay? Let's just say I'm a sap. Because all of those things, there's either a winner, there's always a winner and a loser. In the case of Project Runway, there's like 3 losers. There's the kitty. Chance is talking to you guys. He'd like to come out here because he knows that sometimes he gets to be out here when I'm painting. Okay, so all right, there's our little, the beginning of our little sleigh. So you can go over there and wait your turn. I'm going to give the sides of this a coat of brown. This little gingerbread boy got baked a little too long. That's okay. We can let him bake a little too long. It's our gingerbread boy. We're going to be the boss of him. I'm the boss of the oven. Okay, let's paint this little girl here. And she has a blue dress on, so let me get some blue. Give her a blue dress. He could be made from molasses. That's right, Sarah. He's just a little bit more well done than the one he's being modeled after. Just a little bit, but you know, not too bad. Okay, so we're gonna do this one's dress in blue. Sorry, off camera. I'm trying to do it up here where you guys can see what I'm doing. And she has very funny looking little feet down here. I think that's, I'm not quite sure about that, but anyway. I'm trying to do it as close to the original as possible just because that's how it was to begin with. I'd like for her to have, you know, have the nostalgia factor, I guess. Okay, so she's got her blue dress. And then maybe we'll give her, I'll put some blonde hair on her. And then that way, whatever color ends up happening, you know, whatever I end up doing for her hair, it'll probably go with it okay. Just give her a little space up here that's got some color on it. That way there's something under the hair when I glue it on. But I will not be using hot glue, I will tell you that. There are people that can handle hot glue really well. I'm not one of them. I am terrible with a glue gun. I'm not neat with it. No matter what I've done, I don't do a good job with it. So, you know, I have worked with the air dry clay, yeah. I'm just reading the chat for a minute. Interesting discussion. Everybody's talking about the Project Runway. I enjoy reading the discussion. Okay, so I'm going to put some little light brown shoes down here. I'll figure out how I want to treat the shoes later. Just get something on it to start with. Okay, so there's that. Alrighty. So let's go to the stocking and let's put the red bits on the stocking since I have the red paint out here. Okay, so the trim on the stocking is kind of like so. The toe of the stocking goes about like that. And the heel of the stocking goes kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to paint those areas red. Okay, so we have a toe. The inspiration for the houses. Oh, good. For the NanoJumo. Yeah, that was a good one for me to think about because my home is a sacred place to me, which may sound crazy to people, but it is. And that means that I don't just let anybody into my home. I don't feel compelled to answer the door. You know, I just feel like it's my space. And just because you decide you want to come visit me, I don't mean people who are acquaintances or whatever. I'm talking about strangers. And just because you decide to ring my doorbell doesn't mean that I have to open the door to you. So that whole concept of admit, and that, you know, that was one of those I was like, yeah, this is going to be good for me to do. Good for me to do. Okay, let's give him a little more coat of red. I often include journaling with my pages, not just art. And I do that because the writing part of it is often as important to me as anything. And I think, when I write, it makes me think about things. So I often refine concepts and beliefs in my head when I write that I wouldn't even have thought up had I not been writing. So that's why the journaling becomes important to me as a part of the process, and it always has been. But yeah. So what time of day is it? 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock my time. Did anybody else have trouble adapting to the time change? Usually I have just breezed through this time change. I'm telling you what, this was a hard one for me. I don't know why. My body clock was not prepared to accept an extra hour of sleep, I guess. I don't know. Everybody's got their leaf blowers going out there right now, let me tell you. So if you hear that noise in the background, that's what's going on here. Leaf blowers in the neighborhood. Okay. All right, let's take this little stocking here and let's paint some plaid wrapping paper. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels like that about my home. Sometimes you can feel guilty about, not being sociable or whatever. Okay, so let's do some stripes. Okay, and all right, I'm gonna do, let's just carry the lines on around here. Okay, so I'm going to paint. Looking for a brush here. Reading the chat for a minute. Janet was having a dream she was at Dee Dee's house and Dar was cooking her breakfast. That's pretty funny. Now Charlie's getting in on the act. When the door is open, they spend most of their day in that same room. But when the door is closed, all they can think about is getting out. That's a cat for you. It's like they're being punished, Why would you make us stay in here all by ourselves? And all we want to do is come out there and be by you. We won't hurt anything. We promise we won't step in the paint. We promise. Okay. See if I can figure out if I can do this and not mess up what I already did, huh? Okay, so we'll let that dry for a minute. Yep, I hear you, Lynn. I hear you. Says we do have an open home, but I go to great lengths to make it a peaceful, happy place for family and friends. Yep, amen. Wood is concerned the food bowl is empty. Cats are funny, aren't they? They are funny. Okay, let's stripe this little stocking. We'll let that dry a minute. So let's stripe this stocking. See how we do. This could be where it goes wrong. This could be where it could go wrong. So I'm thinning some red paint. Okay, so the stripes go like that. Like that. All right. How did I do them on the side? All right, we'll just bring them on down like this and like this. The challenge to little teeny pieces like this is hanging on to it. You got to hang on to it somehow. Okay, so let's go the other way. Just trying to get the paint the right consistency here. Not too thin, not too thick. It's a Goldilocks moment. Got to be just right. Okay. It's not bad. It's not exactly the same color red, but you know, it's not too bad. I can always adjust the color. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so far so good. Let's go back to the present. Hey, Karen. These are ornaments, replacement ornaments for an Advent tree that I did a long time ago. I did 2 of them. I don't know that you can see that very well, but I did 2 of these. They're wooden trees, and these are all ornaments. They're Advent ornaments. There's 24 of them, and then the garland is the 25th day. So you put up the tree and put the garland on it day 1, and then you start from the top, putting the ornaments on one each day. The ornaments live down here in the tray at the bottom, waiting to go on the tree. And day 25 is when the Santa goes on. And I did one for my son and one for my stepdaughter. And my stepdaughter somehow, in spite of my best efforts, managed, or somebody did, I don't know if she did it or somebody else in the house, managed to get the ornaments separated from the tree. And the house had to be disposed of for various reasons. And my granddaughter ended up with the tree. And she asked me if I would make some replacement ornaments. So that's how it happened. That's why I'm doing these. So the originals, all the originals are wood. And so I have been doing them in polymer clay. All right. So I'm going to use a different color red just because I think it would be more interesting to have a different color going the other way. Okay. So I'm using a different color of red, which may or may not show up as a different color of red. As with anything like this, when you go to the point of putting the detail on it, that's when they come to life. You know, up until then, everything's kind of like, yeah, boring. And then you put the detail on it, it's like, oh, that's so much fun. You know, then it comes to life. So I will probably be painting Santa Clauses late tonight. If anybody is around and wants to hang out, you're welcome to come over and see what we're doing. It's late my time in the night, but it's early morning for some people. Okay, good enough. Good enough, moving on, as my son likes to say. I might add a little more, one more stripe here. Just because that little corner looks kind of naked. And this one up here, this area up here is a little too wide. So let's see if we can, may have to go over it a couple times, but sometimes, you know, it's just the little detail things that make me happy. So if I have to go over it more than once with white paint, I can do that. I like that better. Okay, so we have that. All right, so basically, other than doing the detail stuff and putting the ribbon on it, the little package is done. Same thing here, the detail stuff. Oh, this needs a little more red. Got to look at them because sometimes the paint it dries out funny. Okay, so aside from the detail on that one, the little stocking is done. I think we need to put some detail on our gingerbread boy. So let's give him some. I'm going to have to paint his details in something other than black because you won't see it in the black. So, maybe I'll put his buttons in gold. What do you think? We'll give him some gold buttons. And maybe we'll give him some blue eyes. Because if I give him a blue, let's see, what do I want to do? Yeah, let me put some blue eyes on first of all. Because then I've got something to make the black show up against. So okay, so we'll let that dry. And then I can come back with the black and the white. Okay, so we're going to put some buttons on him. Looking for something that has a relatively skinny little end. And none of my paintbrushes have a tiny end on them. So when in doubt, use a stylus. Okay, so I'm going to use gold. All right, so he's got gold buttons on. All right, I'm going to see if I can make his mouth in red. I may have to go over it a couple times, but, you know. I can do it. I can do it. Okay, so he's got a little red mouth. You probably can't see that. Hi, Miss Allen. These are ornaments. I'll show you here in just a second. I'll let his little mouth dry. These are ornaments for an Advent tree. They're replacement ornaments for this Advent tree. Years ago, my husband and I made the trees, and we made 2 of them. So it has a tray. If you go back and watch the beginning of the recording, you can see all the details. Now there's a tray that the ornaments sit in, and the tree is wood, and there are nails on the tree to hold the ornaments. So these original sets of ornaments were wood that we made. And one was done for my stepdaughter, 1 set for her, and 1 set for my son. My stepdaughter lost, somehow the ornaments got separated from the tree. My granddaughter now has the tree but no ornaments, so she asked me if I would recreate the ornaments for her. So that's what I'm doing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put the trim around the gingerbread man and hope I can keep my hands out of it. Wish me luck, people. Wish me luck. Keep my hands out of the wet paint that's already there. Okay, so the first thing we've got. Okay, so far so good. So we're putting frosting on this little ornament here, this little gingerbread man. Not bad, not bad. Hi, Brenda. Tina, hey, just saw you. Good to see you, my friend. Okay, so on top of that blue, I'm going to put some black eyes. Not because he has black eyes, but because I want him to show up a little bit more. Give him a little nose. Okay. And his red smile is not showing up very well. So maybe we'll go over the red smile with black. So the red will be there, but the black will come on top of it. We'll see how that looks. Not bad, not bad. I don't know, can you see? I missed a shoulder. I did, sure did. Thank you. See, that's why we have this. It's a collective project, so you guys can keep me straight. There we go. Thank you, ma'am. Much appreciated. Okay, so he's going to have to sit for a minute. The black has to dry before I can put sparkle dots on him. What time is it? 3:17. Let's, okay, those are done. We haven't done anything to the bells yet. Or the sleigh. The sleigh needs another coat of red. So let's put another coat of red on the sleigh first of all. It's really warm here today, so everybody's out doing yard work. So lawnmowers are going, leaf blowers are going. Dogs are barking. Not my dogs. My dogs are being good girls. Clearly somebody has a dog that is not happy. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but clearly it is not happy. Okay, so we'll leave that for a minute. While that's drying, I'm going to put in the sections that make it look like the runner of the sled. All right. And hey, Judy. Bye, Jan. Good to see you. Good to have everybody here and everybody watching on the recording. Thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And you're all invited to check out the website, HowToGetCreative.com. I'd love to have you check it out. Okay, so we have the runners on the sled now, and the sleigh rather. I don't know whether I'm going to be brave enough to put the lettering on in paint or not. That could be dicey. That could be dicey. I'll try it with the trim. Let's see, shall we? Don't know if you don't try. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Bye, Zandra. I'm going to be on for about another 10 minutes and then I'm going to take off here. They don't have exactly the same look as the wood, but you know, I think it's a reasonable substitution. I think it's a reasonable substitution. All right, do you think we should go for the letters? Oh, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to do them in pen. I don't think I have enough room on there with the brush lettering. I think I'm going to have to do them with a pen. Yeah. Going to Chipotle? We might be. We might be. It's Friday night, you know. You guys know too much about me. Too much. Okay, let's make this little guy's eyes come alive. Okay, so now he's got his eyes. He's got his eyes where you can see. Okay, so we'll take a look at him up close so you can really see what I'm doing. That'd be nice, huh? Let me get all this paint out of the way. All my stuff so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So here is, pardon the painty hands, but there's the little gingerbread boy who still needs his ribbon tie. But, you know, it's a reasonable rendition. It's a reasonable rendition. Okay. Here's the sleigh, which is on its way to becoming a sleigh. Different color red. I may have to go in and tint this red down. Depends. Depends. Might be a little too red for me. Here's the stocking, which the rest of the detail on the stocking I'll put in. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good job showing. I'll put the rest of the detail in with a pen. So, and then the Christmas present, again, I'll do the rest of the detail with pen, and then I'll put the ribbon on. So we got that. And then we'll work on the train, the locomotive here for a minute. So I don't have the wheels done, so, but we can get that part done. Okay, so we'll work on this a minute. So what we're going to have on this is there needs to be a window, even though it's black. It's a window. Okay, and the smokestack, I think that's what this is. Somebody that knows their train parts will correct me, I'm sure. So all of these need to be black. And then up here, we're going to do some holly leaves. So we'll do some holly leaves. And we'll do another holly leaf like this. So we'll have a couple holly leaves and some holly berries. Okay, so that gives us that part. So I'm going to put the holly berries in because I've got red paint right here. Okay, so we got the holly berries. And now I'm going to paint in the black window, smokestack, etc. She calls me Graham. Yeah, the kids have always called me Graham. Although I am a step-grandmother, I'm the only one on this side of the family that they know because their blood grandmother died many, many, many years ago. So I'm the only grandmother that the kids know on this side of the family. So although I'm young enough to be their mom, I'm the grandma. The dog out there is just having a cow. Okay, so we have a locomotive started. Do I bake cookies? Not anymore. I used to. I could use, yeah, I probably could use buttons. Yeah, but you know, the original didn't have buttons. So, don't know that I can make myself do buttons because the originals didn't have the buttons. You know? You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm going to put some little green holly leaves on here. There's one. But actually, the buttons are a really good idea for the wheels. There's the other little holly leaf. Okay, and so we have that. So it's not bad, not bad at all. Let's go ahead and put the white trim around it. See how it looks. If I don't like the color red, I can always change it. I think I might like it. I think I might like it. Okay, so I have white trim around the window. And white. Like that. Yesterday I ran into my former neighbor that used to live next door to us. And they moved away a couple years ago. Well, like to another neighborhood. It's not like away. Anyway, one year for Christmas, just because I made a pan of sweet petals for them. And sweet petals are the rolls that we make in our family for Christmas. Looks like a big flower. That's why they're called sweet petals. And it's a cinnamon roll type thing. Anyway, I had done a pan for them. At that point, they just had 3 kids. Now they have 4. And I had told her back then, I said, you know, someday I'll come over and we'll make them together, because they had 3 little girls. And we never had gotten together before they moved. And so when I saw her in the store, I said, you know, we really still need to get together and make sweet petals, because I think it would be a cool tradition for them in their family. And she said, oh, that would be so much fun. So I'm looking forward to being able to do that. Sometime over the holiday, we're going to get together and make sweet petals with her children. So that'll be fun. Oh, I just painted myself into a corner. Got it. Okay. All right, so we have a little locomotive. pretty good. Okay, so aside from a little detail with a pen and a couple of wheels, it looks pretty good. Color's different, but you know, c'est la vie. Okay. What time is it? 3:34. I'm gonna go ahead and put the detail, sketch in the detail here. And I'm probably going to stop before I do anything else because I need a break. And some food. That'll be good. Have some food. So I'm just sketching in the details here. I think I need to raise his boots up a little higher. Well, let me paint in the black while I'm here. See, this is what happens. You get started doing this stuff and you can't stop yourself. Because it's like, I just want to see what it's going to look like, you know? So does anybody have any questions about anything before I take off here in a couple minutes? If you do, stick them in the chat real quick while I'm finishing this up. Give him a little black belt here. And then he's got a black bill on his hat. Pretty cute, huh? Oh, want to see the sponsors. Okay. Art is addicting. It is. That is for sure. Can't stop yourself. Yeah, we'll get the sponsors out here in just a second, of course. It wouldn't be a stream without the sponsors, now would it? Oh, I missed those 2 lines down there. Somebody needs to take that dog for a real long walk. I tell you, I can't stop myself here. Okay, so we're going to put some, well, I'll use the stylus to do this. Put some buttons on him. Okay, so he doesn't have his face on, but you got the idea where he's going. So there we go. Okay. I think that's good enough for today. So let me get move things out of the way here so I don't have the sponsors jumping in the middle of them. And we'll let them out. Put my clay away here, the scrap clay or the extra clay. I bought 2 bricks of white clay, thinking I would need quite a bit, but I think I'm going to get it out of 1, so that'll be kind of nice. Got myself a fresh cup of tea and hardly drank any of it today. That's kind of bad. Okay, let's get sponsors. I need to get rid of paint water and paint first. All right, brace yourselves. They're on their way. You coming out, Charlie? You coming? All right, there you go. Get up there and say hello to everybody. Can you say hi to the people? Huh? Can you say hi to the people? If you lay down, they can see you. There you go. This is Chance. In case anybody happens not to know who this is, this is Chance. He's sponsor number 1, and if you don't believe it, he'll let you know that he is number 1. You coming up, Charlie? You coming up? All right. Come here. All right, come on. And this is Charlie. Here, lay down. There we go. There we go. Lay down, Chance. Put your body down. There you go. Okay. Whew, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get these 2 boys to cooperate, isn't it? It's a lot of work. Yeah. Charlie's half on the table and half off. He's partly in my lap and partly on the table. Yeah, Chance is purring up a storm. He's purring up a storm for you, telling you how happy he is to be out of that terrible room. He's a mess. They're both a mess. Well, thank you to everybody for coming and spending your afternoon here in my studio. And also to anybody watching the recording, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you. I will probably be broadcasting late tonight. Don't know exactly what time, but it's now 3:45 my time, 4:45 Eastern, and it will be. It depends on if anybody else is on. If anybody else is on streaming, I will not step on them. But we'll just kind of see how it goes, but it'll be later tonight. And I can't find my mouse, which is here somewhere. Here it is, in order to sign off. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys later. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks again. I will see you soon. Hold on, boys. We got to stop the recording. Can you say goodbye?